Okay, so my name is Brenton Stark, and I'm going to go ahead and dive right in for you guys for my presentation. This is Ahmed Get Your Gun, Why So Many Pakistanis Own Guns. So there are roughly 20 million firearms that are in Pakistan right now, and of those 20 million, roughly 18 million of them are owned by just privately owned citizens. And so makes up the majority of people, or sorry, the majority of the guns in Pakistan are owned by everyday people. Of those 20 million, only 2 million of them are military firearms. And so I just thought that was kind of interesting uh, that the military had so many few, or so few firearms in relation to the total amount. So also another fun fact for you. Roughly 11 out of every 100 people have a firearm in Pakistan. Um, and I figured I would give you that number in relation to the guns in the US. And there is basically a firearm for every person in the US. So there's still a great number, far more guns in the US than there are in Pakistan. So I just figured I would kind of give you something to put it in perspective for you. So the population of gun holders, roughly 15% of Pakistanis have a gun, and I thought that would be important to know. But also, what is important to know is that getting firearms over there is a lot more difficult to go through the legal channels, and so it's also more expensive. So a lot of people just kind of end up going illegal because it's cheaper and it's easier to get weapons. So they do have their process, but not everybody follows it. So we're going to talk about Muhammad for a few minutes. There are a bunch of reasons why the Pakistani people feel the need to own guns, but this is one of them. And this is a story about a man who was kidnapped by 5 individuals. They had AK-47s in mass, and they came and they kidnapped him. And their goal was to hold him for ransom. Fortunately for Muhammad, he escaped roughly 25 days after he was captured, and then he went to the police. And after going to the police, I thought this was interesting because here in the U.S., the police from that point would say, "Okay, don't worry, we've got this." But over in Pakistan, they did something quite different, and they actually just wrote him a permit to carry his own automatic weapon, and basically sent him on his way. So you can see very clearly cultural differences and just kind of how they do things in relation to how we do them here in the United States. So just a few things that I thought were important to highlight. The reason why guns are so prevalent in Pakistan is one, it's simply just how they do things. One of the quotes that I came across said that it's simply our way of life. And I thought that was interesting because, just like we have our cultural norms here in America, they have theirs, and one of theirs is to have a weapon to protect themselves. So also another reason why there's so many guns in Pakistan is because they're cheap. They're actually, I read a really interesting article on Dawn that stated that the guns are cheaper than smartphones. And so that's another reason why they're so prevalent in Pakistan. And there's also some corruption that takes place, and so you could imagine wanting to protect yourself. I'll go ahead and touch down on culture of honor, which I thought was important to understand. Basically, over there in Pakistan, they do things a little bit differently. They have this something called the culture of honor, where if somebody in your family were to bring you dishonor, you have every right to punish them or even kill them. And the same goes for an outgroup member or another family that wrongs you. It's your responsibility to take it into your own hands. And so it's just a very different way of doing things. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the wrong way to do things, but just very different. So I'll leave you guys with a quote, just something to ponder. While reading, I came across this quote: "A free man is one who can keep a weapon." And I just thought that was interesting. I think that a lot of the Pakistani people simply want to have the means to protect themselves, and I can imagine feeling the same way in the same area, and so that's just something that we need to consider as we study and understand Pakistan. So thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you guys in class. Have a great semester.